It can take up to 5 years to design a new car, and part of that time is needed by the designers and the engineers to develop a car that not only looks good, but is also safe and reliable. Part of those 5 years is taken to design, build, and install the equipment needed to make the new car. And in the end, that new car will need to sell in sufficient numbers to pay back the £300 million that have already been spent before a single car has been made for sale. Take the MG Metro, designed by Austin Morris. It was planned as a car that would be easy for town use, small, maneuverable, simple to park, but large enough to take 4 people in comfort. It had to be economical to run, going long distances on a gallon of petrol, and yet with an engine that was nippy, quick on acceleration, like the MG sports car that it was named after. And all this began as an idea on somebody's drawing board. Now, John, what's that there?
That's an artist's impression of our new Metro.
Right. And how does that relate to this picture I can see on the computer display screen?
We've simplified the structure into a series of straight lines.
So, these lines and these sections represent parts of a car's body.
That's right. This represents the post, this represents the sill, and that, for instance, represents the roof.
And what if you wanted to see the car from a different angle? Can you do that?
Yes, that's easy.
Go ahead. Oh, you're turning it round?
That's right.
Oh, here comes the back round towards us now. Back square on. And all the way around back to the beginning. And can you turn it different ways? I mean, could we look underneath if you wanted to?
Yes, we could. Yes.
Well, what's the point of all this? I mean, this can't tell you what the car is like actually on the road.
It can do exactly that.
Can it?
Yes.
Show me.
Okay.
John typed out instructions for the computer, and the model car started to move, to vibrate, as if it were on a rough road. The Metro engineers used the information provided by the computer to design the body for the new car. And they can do this without spending money on metal and machinery. The computer design will need to be checked using an experimental car, a real one. At one time, these tests would have been done by driving hundreds of miles on a track. Nowadays, the same results can be got from a test rig. The car stays indoors, but the wheels and body move, just as if they were on the road. Particular care is taken with new cars to design a strong front end. This is the part of the car that will need to protect the occupants if there were an accident. The engineers need to know what would happen to the front of the car if it were hit. Would the driver be hurt? The simplest way of getting results is by crushing the car in the laboratory. Measuring instruments can tell the engineers about the strengths of particular parts of the body. one wrecked car will produce a considerable amount of vital design information.
And this is the result of the early test work, the basic Metro frame. You could say it's the skeleton of the car. All the problems of vibration have been cured, and the engineers know that this carefully designed front end will protect the occupants in the event of an accident.
These young scientists are hoping to develop a new front end for their Jeep, a front end that will protect the Action Man driver. Ideally, the Jeep should stop gradually. This will reduce the damage to the driver's neck and backbone. A cotton reel sliding in a plastic tube tells them how suddenly the Jeep is stopped by the brick.
14.
Foam rubber doesn't improve matters. Plasticine is too rigid. But a collapsing card tube produces a marked improvement.
A great many of the tests that are carried out during car design are to do with passenger safety in the event of an accident. What's going on here, John?
We're doing a fascia impact test.
And what does that mean?
We've taken the front part of a car, turned it upside down, and mounted the fascia panel across here.
Yes.
And then we're going to impact it with this pendulum.
And the pendulum represents a passenger's head?
Yes. We're trying to build in a small amount of give into the fascia.
And hopefully that'll save a passenger's life?
That's correct.
Well, can we see it in action?
Certainly.
Good.
It seemed to me that the model head was hitting the front of the car very hard indeed. And that was at a speed of only 20 miles an hour. John went on to tell me about the experiments to test seatbelts. A seatbelt would, of course, stop the driver's head hitting the fascia in the first place. Belts can be tested by use of information stored in a computer.
This shows us what would happen to a passenger wearing a seatbelt if the car were to hit a brick wall at 30 miles an hour.
Right. And this is the passenger here, and that is the fascia of the car, right?
That's right.
OK, well, let's see it.
OK.
The designers will need to test what the computer has predicted by using a dummy seated in a real car. The computer also stores information that will help reduce pedestrian injuries. Where, for instance, is the best place for the car bumper? How can seat belts help a driver and passengers? Well, this is one way of finding out.
Buzzer on. Shutter open. Release.
First, no belt at all.
Buzzer on. Shutter open. Release.
With a belt round the waist, the head jerks violently. But with a belt round shoulders and waist, the driver stays firmly fixed.
And this is where you came in, the MG Metro. All those tests that you saw, and a lot more that you didn't, went into the research before the car went into production. And they've helped to make it economical, reliable, good-looking, and safe. So, now for the hardest test of all. How will the Metro get on with me as a passenger? Well, we shall see. Off you go, Mary.